Welcome to the regular meeting of the South Haven City Council. Today is Monday, March 2nd, 2026. This meeting is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening's invocation is by Pastor Dan Davis of Life Bridge Church. Welcome.
Welcome.
Good to see you.
Yeah, Mayor Brown, City Council members, thank you for the invitation. It's an honor and a privilege for me to stand here on behalf of the entire Life Bridge Church family, and we want to thank you for serving our community the way you do. Well, as we begin our meeting tonight, I invite all of us in attendance to bow our heads and our hearts in prayer as this invocation as we pray together. Great and gracious God, we come before you, and we do so humbly and gratefully for all that you have done, for all that you are doing, and for all that you will do for the peace and the prosperity of this wonderful city called South Haven. We thank you for the beauty of our natural surroundings. We thank you for the heart of our citizens. We thank you for the willingness of this council to serve, to listen, to lead, and to love. May they do so with a spirit of unity, a oneness of purpose, guided by a collective wisdom that is greater than the sum of their individual parts. For the many challenges before them, would you grant this council a shared courage, compassion, and conviction that will lead them to the best possible solutions, both respectfully and responsibly. And for all of us in attendance tonight, help us to both recognize and to rise above our differences, to do so in the spirit of the golden rule, trusting and treating each other with mutual respect, the respect which we all want to be treated with. Give us a healthy perspective of the past, an honest picture of the present, and a hopeful optimism for the future, one that can see the possibilities for a better tomorrow, both this year and for the generations to come. Lord, hear our prayers as we commit the business of this evening into your sovereign care, praying all this in the wise and loving name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Could we have a roll call, please, Megan?
Of course. Jeff Arnold.
Here.
Tom Capps.
Here.
Dave Flack.
Here.
Mary Hosley. Here. Eddie Polk.
Here.
Letitia Wilkins.
Here.
And Annie Brown.
Here. Thank you. Are there any conflicts of interest this evening? Is there a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of short-term rental ordinance under number 10, special business?
I motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the short-term rental special agenda item number 10.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Next, community update by Jeremy Burleson of Lake Michigan College. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I first want to say thank you so much for inviting me to come and talk about Lake Michigan College and what we're offering. Secondly, I want to say to everyone back here, I'm sorry that you're seeing not the best side of me, but first and foremost, what I want to say to everyone is we are so appreciative of what everyone has done for the campus of South Haven. So if we can switch to the next slide. We had a millage renewal that came up in November, and we had two things on the ballot. And those two things, one of them specifically, was accounting for 20% of our overall funding for the campus. And not only did we pass it in this area, we passed it at a 72% rate, which was higher than many districts throughout Benton Harbor, down in Berrien County. It shows that South Haven and the South Haven area really supports what we're doing at Lake Michigan College. So I really want to say thank you to everyone that came out and voted, that appreciates what we're trying to do. And so with that, I just wanted to give a big thank you to everyone for coming out and voting. For the next 20 years, we know that 20% of our operational funding is going to be taken care of. We don't know what's going to happen with the state. considering budgets and what's taking place, we now know that South Haven is taking care of at least 20% for the next 20 years. So thank you for that. So what do we do? So what do you get for your money? Everybody, 72% voted, so what do we get? So first and foremost, what I do want to say is Lake Michigan College as a whole, not only South Haven but Benton Harbor, a third of our population is dual enrollment students. Now, as a father of a student that's at Grand Valley for 2 years now, he's listed as a junior because he already took classes, a full year of classes already from South Haven Public Schools, which is phenomenal for myself and his mother for payments of that, which helps us out a ton. But not only that, it helps progress his growth at an earlier age, which is amazing. Currently, we have a cohort of about 50 students from South Haven High School that are taking dual enrollment classes, which is phenomenal. It's the second highest. The other district that's one higher is St. Joseph Public Schools. South Haven is the second highest with 50 students. Coloma right now has 11 students, which is the highest we've ever had from Coloma Public Schools taking dual enrollment classes, which is massive. And it helps those students progress in their education more than we can understand. What we focus on a lot of times is the Michigan Transfer Agreement. Not to get in too much of the nuts and bolts because I only have a little bit of time, but the Michigan Transfer Agreement essentially says if you take 10 classes, that transfers to any four-year school as a whole. When I graduated high school, they piecemealed it out. So when I was going to Central, they were like, well, we'll take this class, and that's fine, we can do that. But they would still make me take oceanography, which I had no interest in. But we had to do that. Now, if you take these 10 classes as a whole, it transfers to any four-year institution. So when those dual enrollment kids come in, and when they're like, hey, listen, I want to take this class, I start pushing them towards, and knowing that they're going to a four-year school, I start to try to figure out how can we bundle that as a package. So the four-year school cannot piecemeal it out, and then you have to take other classes. They take it as a whole. So our dual enrollment, a lot of our dual enrollment students are trying to fulfill that package, and we offer that. And that's been amazing. Like I said, a third of our population. So free tuition is something that we're offering. Now, I say free tuition, and every time everyone says free, we always say that there's no free lunch, right? So something's got to happen. But when you look at what's taking place, I've been at LMC for 10 years now. And since I started, the biggest barrier for students was, I can't afford college, so I'm not going to go. The state of Michigan has come through with two different programs. The very first one is Community College Guarantee. We call it CCG, of course, because there's all sorts of acronyms that educators do. But essentially what happens is if you graduate from a local high school, you have the opportunity, if you're looking for a certificate or any skill-based program in an associate's degree, it's free through the state of Michigan. Now that's just tuition. We all know that books are very expensive. We all know that there's a lot of other expenses that takes place when you try to go to college. What about childcare? What about all these different things? So what we've been able to do with the Community College Guarantee and the Michigan Reconnect, just to step back a little bit, is for 21 years and older. So essentially we're starting to cover those students that graduate usually at the age of 18 all the way to 21, and even past that if you have not had your associate's degree. You can now take community college. Their tuition will be free. So I've had a lot of local groups, and we have amazing groups around this area. We have the Hope Foundation. We have the Hodgman Foundation. We have a lot of people that have donated and are saying, well, what's happening with our scholarships? What's going on with that? We have the ability to now go back and talk to those groups and say, hey, let's take down some more barriers. Let's say if childcare is an issue, let's use your scholarship to help with childcare. What about transportation? Let's help with transportation. We can use that scholarship for that. What about books? Lake Michigan College has already come out and stated that if you are taking classes and you need books and you need help with that, we can help through our foundation. So it's pretty much gotten to a point where if you're trying to go and get your associate's degree or some sort of certificate, you can come to Lake Michigan College and get that. And money is no longer a barrier. And if it is, come and talk to me, and we can figure something out. So what do you get? Like I said, what do you get with your money? What is Lake Michigan College doing with the money that you've provided for us? So the very first thing that I always try to do is I reach out to the community and I say, what does the community need? Not just South Haven, but surrounding areas, specifically South Haven, hopefully. But what do we do with them? So I reached out to, and many of you have heard this before, when I first started here, I reached out to the local hospitals. And I said, what are the main things that you need help with? And they said certified nursing assistants, CNA, and phlebotomists. So I transformed our, if you can see in the upper right-hand corner there, I transformed our art room into a CNA lab and a phlebotomy lab. We offer one CNA class and one phlebotomy class per semester. We then went into, and back in my old days when I was running the alternative high school program, I had a lot of students trying to get their GEDs. And they couldn't get their GED assessment around here. We could teach them about the program, but they couldn't get that done. So I created a Pearson Assessment Center. You can see that in the bottom right-hand corner, certified by the company of Pearson, that not only allows students to get their GED, but it then allows local businesses to come in and upcert their employees. So if you run a business and you want your employees to get an additional certificate, they can come to our assessment center and get that certificate through that program and through that testing center. And then, of course, we all know about trucking, right? There's a national shortage in truckers. When I was overseeing the Niles campus, we had that program down there. Now that I'm back up in South Haven full-time, we brought that program up here. That program is now full all the way until the end of May. We have 3 students every 3 weeks coming through that program. And I tell you, I have inquiries about that just about every day. What does the CDL program look like? And we have people coming right out of high school. We have people that are trying to change professions. We have people that are just looking for something different. I've seen it all. Males, females, every walk of life coming through, trying to do something different through our CDL program. And that's been incredibly successful. So, other things, trying to grow. So number one, we look at esports, and you look in the upper right-hand corner there, that's our esports lab. What is esports? I'm not really quite sure at this point. I know students, at least some of the parents that I've talked to, they yell at their kids for playing video games in the basement. Get up, get out of that basement, you're not going to make any money playing video games. That's not necessarily true anymore. We have an associate's degree that transfers to Ferris State University for their bachelor's degree to earn money with playing video games. And it's not just video games. They do sociology, they do promotions, they do, it is, if you have children, you know they're watching people play video games on YouTube, which I don't understand, but I don't need to. We have 8 different districts around the area that have esports teams, including South Haven. And so what we did was we created an environment for those students to be able to come in. A lot of the districts around here could not afford the technology, the computers. The chairs themselves are incredibly expensive. The president was not happy when we spent the money to get the chairs, but it's incredibly important. These students, when they go to competitions, can make a lot of money by doing this. This can be their profession. They can obtain a bachelor's degree by playing video games. I didn't think it would be possible, but it is. So we've got agriculture. Many of you, including Kate, have heard about this hoop house, H-O-O-P, hoop house, that was created on our grounds. The reason why this came about was because of the need of our agriculture farmers around here. We know that South Haven is the blueberry capital of the world, but we also have a lot of farmers that are retiring. And agriculture is changing. It's not the way it used to be when our grandparents, sowed the field and planted everything. It's not that anymore. We literally have tractors that will drop fertilizers on specific plants. They use drones to find out what's going on with their crop. How do we educate the people around here to try to make sure that our local farmers are learning the new ways of growing? We have to have a place for them to come and understand. So we partner with Michigan State University and the FDA. We received a grant, and we created a 73 by 94 foot hoop house. And if you haven't seen it yet, please drive by, and come spring, especially in the summer. If you want to take a look at it, please come by, ask me about it. We can go and tour it. I would love to see people out in there. And what it does is it teaches people, this one specifically, teaches people how to grow things in a controlled environment. We know the environment's changing constantly. So how do you try to make sure that you can grow something in a controlled environment? The sidewalls that you see that run all the way down go up and down automatically based on the temperature that's inside there. So if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, you see some of our local farmers that have been, tending to this entire thing. There's a couple thermostats that are in there. When the thermostat when it gets too hot in there, based on what it's set at, those sidewalls roll up and down instantaneously. When it comes to watering, everybody's like, Jeremy, you gotta come in and water these plants. I'm like, dude, I would kill everything. I can't keep a plant alive to save my life. I don't have to worry about that because all we do is set a timer and it waters and irrigates those crops in between each row every single time. So it's a matter of trying to teach people how to grow things in a controlled environment. That's just the beginning. LMC as a whole is trying to build agriculture stackable certificates. So if you don't know a lot about education, what's taking place right now is a lot of people are getting away from the associate's or bachelor's degree. They're going with stackable short-term certificates. So we've created an agriculture program where you can actually do, like, let's say you want to learn more about soil. You can come in and you can take a class about soil. And that's it. And that's totally fine. Or you can stay and learn more about herbicide. Like, what does it take to grow these crops? So all these stackable certificates are things that we're trying to create. We've brought in Caring Connections. If you don't know anything about Caring Connections, it was a local group that was at the YDC and is now at Lake Michigan College. Caring Connections, essentially, if you have a loved one that you are the primary caregiver for, if you have a parent that might have Alzheimer's or dementia, or you have a special needs child that takes full-time care, you can bring them to Lake Michigan College. The group Caring Connections will take care of them, and they have a permanent space for them. We have about, right now, I'd say probably 10 students, 10 clients that come in, and Caring Connections has taken care of all the certifications for them. And so not only mixing with that, we have Scribbles Daycare, which many of you know has just now opened. It's a South Haven-based child care program, started in South Haven. It's now going down into Benton Harbor as well, so Jeannie's expanding everything. We've got that open. Caring Connections and Scribbles will do cross-generational education. So the little kids from Scribbles will come and read books to some of the people at Caring Connections to try to connect those pieces together. We have an exercise room that we've created, and I'll tell you why we created it in a little bit. I don't want to spoil things, but we created an exercise room for students, staff, faculty, anyone that wants to come in. We have places for them to go and utilize the space there. Now, the reason why we created that room is PTA, so physical therapy assistant. If you know anything about PTA, a lot of the local places that do physical therapy, I've been there multiple times myself, in order to become a physical therapist, you have to be a doctor. They've changed that requirement. So a lot of our local places cannot afford to hire multiple doctors. So what they do is they hire PTAs. Those are the ones that you work with. The doctor, the PT, is the one that creates the kind of the skill set, what you need to do, what you're going to do. And then the PTA is actually the person that comes and works with you. The PTA program is our very first flagship program that we have in South Haven. It's the only one. It will not be taught down at the Benton Harbor campus. So if you want to be a PTA, you come directly to the South Haven campus. The best thing about this is we'll start enrolling students this fall in their prereqs. Then come 27, they'll start actually enrolling in the PTA. This has been a project of mine for like the last 5 years. There's a lot of hoops that you have to jump through when it comes to building some sort of health allied program. And so we've done that. We've created, we actually realized and received a $500,000 grant. And so we were able to take 3 of our classrooms and create this space. which actually pushed one of my other classrooms to be super small, so I couldn't make it for an additional classroom. So what I did was said, okay, let's make it the exercise room. So that's what we were able to do. These PTA, the students that we have coming through here, will be able to work with our patients and our clients down at Caring Connections for mobility issues as part of their clientele and part of their requirements that they'll have to do. So it kind of all merges together with all three groups that we're trying to do. We also have a Red Hawk Refuel Pantry. Now what you're seeing up here is from the Benton Harbor campus. We offer this at South Haven as well. And what it does, we talked about barriers with students, right? One of the things that we see with a lot of our students in this area is they have food issues. A lot of them do not have proper nutrition. So how do we try to reconcile that? So what we've done is we've created an online system for students. If you're a full-time student or part-time, you can come in, you can go online, you can actually register, you get a certain amount of points for a certain amount of semesters, and there's an actual list of food that you can receive. That food is sent from Benton Harbor up to us in South Haven in bags that are only listed by students' numbers, not their names. And so once we get those bags, then we call the student because we know their student number. They come in, easy peasy, in and out. And they don't have to actually do anything with someone in face-to-face if they're insecure about it. And that's one of our biggest barriers that we see with a lot of our students is food insecurity. So again, another barrier that we've tried to take away. Community involvement. Many of you have sat in our community room. The community room that was originally 2 rooms was pushed out to 3 rooms because we had so many people come in and try to use it, and it became too small. So what we've done is we've reached out to the community. It is a community college after all. This is my community room. This is what we want to have. We want to have more businesses. We want to have more meetings. We want more people coming through those doors, and it is imperative. But if you look at what we see up here, we see a giant list of people, and this is only part of what I could find of people that we have served and utilized in that community room. And it continues to grow. The South Haven Regional Business Hub specifically is something that has grown immensely, and we allow room usage. One of the things that I hear about quite a bit is, well, there's not a lot of cars in the parking lot. Well, I mean, there is right now because we utilize that space with Holtec and Palisades to make sure that we can utilize that. By the way, they are repaving my entire parking lot for the utilization, so that was a win all the way around. But Jeremy, there's not a lot of cars, so you're not doing much in there. It's not true. We are doing a ton at this college. After COVID, a lot of our students, and you know this if you have children, have decided to take classes online because that's what they were used to. They're still doing that. We service close to 650 students per year as advisors, as recruiters, as different aspects. We're seeing a constant amount of students. The problem is they're just not parking in our parking lot. They're not coming through the door like they used to. So I'm trying to figure out how do we utilize this space that the taxpayers are paying for in a correct way. And that's why we're doing hands-on education. PTA, you can't do PTA online. You've got to be there. Caring Connections is a space that they need, the community needs, so we're offering space for them. Scribbles, same thing. We know we need daycare. As soon as Kids Zone left, that was the biggest thing that I heard about. Well, what are we doing for daycare? So providing a space for Scribbles to still bring in daycare and try to provide that, that's what we're trying to do. So as we go and move forward, what I really want to do is figure out how do we utilize that space for more hands-on education. And that's all I've got. So any questions? I'm sure there's a lot. Yeah.
First, I want to say you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And you gave a lot of great information tonight. But I do have a quick question. I know with the teacher shortage, I was wondering, is that something you forgot to say?
No, oh, no,
you
no.
shake
I
your
didn't.
head.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes. So I am also in charge. So I'm in charge of the Marine Tech program, which I missed as well as CDL and the Education Reboot. The education department has switched into 6 bands. We know, Mr. Arnold, myself, like we know that there was originally 3 bands, elementary, middle, high. Now it's switched to 6 bands. And so what we have to do is try to take our curriculum, figure out how does it lay out? How do we want to make it? Because remember, we're a 2-year institution. How do we want to make it accessible for those pathways to go into a 4-year school, Western, Central, Eastern? How do we make it so they can go into there? And what pathway do we build? So I'm in the process of doing that. It hasn't been completed because it's a heavy lift. It's very difficult because a lot of the 4-year schools don't like to play well in the sandbox with each other. So how do I build an EDU 101 class that'll transfer to Western and Central? And it's not easy to do. So I'm working on that. But we do understand the education shortage. I completely agree with you on that. We're working on it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Polk.
Mayor.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Hey,
Thank you.
good to see you.
I have to make a disclaimer before I go on. I'm speaking only as a Holtec employee, a 40-year plus, because I don't want to tread on Mr. Nick Culp's territory.
Okay.
We have been cautioned about that. So whatever I say, just take it as an employee of
100%.
Thank you. Back in the day, you were talking about your programs earlier. Back in the day, LMC had a program that was designed to prepare people to be able to come in and be successful in working in a nuclear plant environment.
Correct.
What happened to that program, and what are you doing? The reason I say this is, you know, Palisades now is
Yeah.
with the restart of the old reactor.
Yep.
And with the addition of the SMRs, that's going to be about 1,400 megawatts of generating capacity of clean energy. I want to put emphasis on clean energy.
First one in the nation ever done.
You
Yep.
got it.
Yep.
And there's an opportunity for long-term careers out there as well.
100%.
And we want to make sure that the individuals that are interested in working in the nuclear industry can be successful, you know, at the entry level.
Yeah.
Operations, be able to obtain a nuclear operator's license, maintain that, various skills, you know, some of the certifications you talked about.
Yep.
Don't have to have a degree, but a certification.
That would be
There'll
huge.
be a lot of employment opportunity for years to come. So what's your program going to be in the future?
So one of the things that I do want to comment, yes, we used to have that. So what happens, just to give everybody a little bit of a background quickly, what happens with a program is we always build it based on, can our students receive jobs? And are we servicing the area as best we can? So I'll give you a lineman. We started a lineman program down in Niles because the community was saying, we need linemen, we need this happening. So we built lines and poles and got everything going. One semester, we were able to fill that class. And then afterwards, onesies, twosies, I couldn't even afford an instructor for that because I couldn't get it going. We filled the market within one class, and then all of a sudden it was done. So I get a lot of people that come into my office and they're like, hey, we got to get this going. And I'm like, okay, that's a great idea. Let's research. Let's figure out where are the jobs at. Are they coming in? Do we have a lot of people that are interested in it? And that's what PTA took me so long to build because I had to do so much research to find out, are they getting jobs? We're dealing with the same type of thing with the program. We're still researching to find out if we can get this going, if we have enough capacity to fill those positions. And I've heard many people like yourself coming from the same area, and they're like, hey, we got to get this going. Pause, which is what I always say to my kids, pause. Let's take a look at it. Let's find the research, because the last thing that I want to do is set a student up and they can't get a job.
understand.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we're still doing the research on it. So please don't think that we've ignored that. We understand that that's a total need in this area. Like I said, the first time that we've done this in the nation. So why not provide an education for those students? So we're getting there. We're getting there, but it's going to take time.
And there's going to be a potential for having just a nuclear engineering curriculum, right?
Well, I would hope so. That's the goal. We would like to try to do that.
Terrific.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilmember Hosley mentioned the Marine program
Yeah.
at one of our meetings, but you've run into some challenges.
Yes, no, and I appreciate you mentioning that. I'm sorry I skipped that. That's one of the things I should not have skipped was the Marine Tech program. So we do offer a Marine Technician program. We partner with Macomb Community College. Right now we have a cohort going through. They should end towards the end of March. We have 5 students. That's the most we've ever had before. We've run it for 6 semesters, and we have 5 students in it right now. So it's growing. The problem is that we're at the, the needs of Macomb. Macomb Community Colleges runs it in August, which is not a good time for marinas, especially around here. Number two, they offer it in February, which is an amazing time. That's why this is probably our biggest cohort. Also, the problem is Macomb Community College has a state-of-the-art facility that they utilize for the students. So our students, even though they enroll in Lake Michigan College, they have to go all the way over to Macomb, which is in the Detroit area, for a week to do their hands-on training. The rest of it is online. I've had students from New York participate in this. If you know anything about marine technicians, the majority of them, and like I said, when we're doing research, I called all the way up and down the coastline. Michigan has more coastline than any other state. I called all the way up and down. I heard so many people claim that our marine tech is leaving. If you own a boat, you know it's very difficult to get that repaired. And we're trying to figure out who's going to come into this. As soon as I promote this program, I get a lot of students that are hands-on students, the ones that go to VOTEC, the ones that aren't used to sitting in a classroom of 30 students with one teacher lecturing the entire time. They want to get their hands dirty. They want to work on these boats. So I want to offer the program here. The biggest barrier is that they have to travel to Macomb for 1 week to do it. And so that is a huge barrier for our students. How do you go across the state and spend a week at a hotel if you don't know anyone there? Food, travel, there's a ton of expenses that we're trying to figure out for the majority of our students. I will say that Lake Michigan College's foundation has stepped up as far as tuition goes. And they've been able to allocate a lot of those scholarships that we talked about to help pay for their tuition. But it does not allow for travel. It doesn't allow for hotel. There's a lot of gaps there. My dream is to be able to build a pole barn or some sort of facility, Lake Michigan College has land, out at our campus to house that program there, because I know it will be successful. If you talk to any marina around here, they're begging for techs. And I would love to be able to provide that. I just don't have the space. So if we could do something like that and take down those barriers that I'm really want to do, that would be huge. But that is a big point of barriers for those students. But that's a great point. Glad you asked that.
Any other questions? Mary?
Yeah, so you took one of them, thank you. For the Red Hawk food, is there a way for people to donate?
100%.
towards
So
that?
I will say this. So South Haven, we do things a little bit different. I'm okay with that. We're not necessarily part of the mothership, and sometimes that's a good point. So the AEUW originally started donating food and things like that for our pantry. A grant was written by the people that oversee it at the Benton Harbor campus, and so that helps bring money in so we can go and purchase food for the students. If people want to come in and provide any food, that would be amazing, because I guarantee it would be used.
And it's shelf stable,
Yep, shelf-stable,
microwavable.
yep, microwavable, just basic stuff. You know, high school, college kids. You know, very basic. We're not going to be making stuff, but a lot of just very basic things. I guarantee you will be utilized.
And it can just be dropped off at LMC.
Right at the front desk. Yep.
And the other is thank you for recognizing the Seed of Hope Scholarship.
Yep.
That's a local grown.
Oh,
and
100%. No, and we offer their banquets, at the
Yep.
end of the year. We do that. That's what we're here for. This is a community college. We're here for the community.
Anything else? Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Well, thank you for
Always great
having
to
me.
see you and hear from you.
It's good seeing you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It is now time for public comment. You can speak for 3 minutes on any item, excluding items scheduled for public hearing.
Good evening, Council. Again, I am Holly Boyd. I reside at 507 Virginia Avenue, and I'm here to discuss, once again, the issue regarding 706 and 712 Virginia Avenue. For the
I'm sorry to bother you, but that's
Yes.
that's one of our public
Oh,
hearings.
there
so
is a
sorry.
public hearing.
That's my fault.
Nope, it's
Sorry.
mine.
Thanks, Kate.
No worries, Holly.
Well,
Thanks.
you'll be back.
I'll be back.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments? Welcome back.
I do appreciate all you guys. So Melissa, Shores Vacation Rentals, I know we brought this up to the next one. I'm listening to everything and you guys are working so hard and it seems like so much time. I didn't realize only like 20% of them. That's a lot. Why are property managers not able to handle this is a big question for me. When I began this, and I'm new, it was pretty simple. Property managers, we got everything that you guys needed. We filled it out. The owners who don't live here, like most of them don't live here, and most of them don't check their email for any of it because we've taken care of it for so long, are now trying to figure out how to do what they pay us to do, what we're contracted to do, what's written in our contracts to do. And I think it's really stuffing up the pipeline a lot. I mean, I have people asking me questions every day. I run down these poor people and I stick my head in the window and they're always so polite. But most of the time they don't have an answer for me because I'm not the owner, but the owner asked me. So I'm just kind of stuck in the middle a lot. And I just feel like that is really stuffing up the pipeline. So I'm just going to add
Thank you.
that.
Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm not sure if this is on for public comment or not, or council comment. It's about Trailside, the Trailside building,
It is,
Phase 2.
that's public
That's a
hearing.
public hearing too, so you'll be back.
I'll be back.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Any other comments? If not, we're moving on. We are at the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through G?
I move to support consent agenda items A through G.
Second.
Any discussion? Could we have a roll call, please?
Arnold,
Yes.
Capps,
Yes.
Flack,
Yes.
Hosley,
Yes.
Polk,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We are now at number 10, special business item, the short-term rental ordinance, and this is asking for a motion to introduce it as a first reading. Kate, do you want to talk first?
That's correct. We have been working on an amendment to the short-term rental ordinance dealing with the timing issue. As we've heard at our committee of the whole meeting, we are barreling towards May 1, which requires all short-term rentals to be registered under the new scheme. This has caused us to, one, have a bottleneck. As we've heard from Kelly and, of course, Ms. Skinner, who was up here, we've only gotten through about 20% of the short-term rentals that are registered. Kelly, is that pretty fair to add? Yeah. So what we have is provided language to extend that season out, and Attorney Eberly is here, who can provide, again, a quick summation of what the language is proposing.
Thank you, Kate. There was a recognition by staff, as Kate said, that we had a lot to do and we were running out of time. In drafting a proposed solution, staff recognized that we wanted to get all of the short-term rentals under the new licensing scheme. We did not want to continue to license short-term rentals under the old licensing scheme under Article 10. The proposed solution would allow a short-term rental to be issued a conditional license if, as of March 17, 2025, they were a registered STR within the city. They submit a complete licensing application and zoning compliance determination and licensing fee. That would allow staff to essentially administratively issue a conditional license. That conditional license would be for a period of no more than 2 years. They would be required to comply in terms of operations with the new requirements of, I believe it's Section 15 of the ordinance. So they'd be conditionally licensed under the new STR requirements. And then that would give staff the buffer time to go do the zoning compliance review, to do an inspection. Assuming a property gets a go at both of those stations, they could then be issued their official permanent, or not permanent, but full license, we can say, under the existing language of the licensing ordinance. If it was found that they did not pass an inspection or they did not meet the zoning compliance determination standards, the language is in the, I'll read it for everybody. A conditional license shall terminate upon the occurrence of any of the following: the expiration of 31 calendar days following the issuance of a zoning compliance determination indicating the dwelling is not eligible for the license being sought, or if the zoning compliance determination is appealed, the Zoning Board of Appeals decision which does not reverse the zoning compliance determination. What that means is if the zoning compliance determination comes back saying, hey, you're not eligible, that would be a basis for the termination of the conditional license. Another basis for the termination of a conditional license would be the expiration of 30 calendar days following the issuance of a letter of deficiency if no letter of compliance is issued within 30 days. So if a STR is inspected and they fail their inspection, they have 30 days to get a passing inspection, otherwise their conditional license would terminate. And then, of course, the issuance of a license pursuant to subsection 14503B would terminate the conditional license, and that is the issuance of the full license.
Can we have a motion before we discuss this? We're just introducing it as
Yeah,
a,
sorry, Mary.
go ahead.
I motion to introduce an ordinance I motion to introduce an ordinance to amend sections 14-501, 14-502, and 14-505, Chapter 14 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of South Haven.
Support.
Any discussion? Is this motion adequate? Okay. Any other discussion?
Just a point of order, is there any concern if, this just came up, any concern if a city council member owns a short-term rental permit?
No, I don't believe so, because this would be generally applicable legislation.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
Just a question they had earlier for those that weren't here. As far as zoning compliance, again, setbacks, and you guys talked before that if they qualified for a short-term rental before and they're 20 years old, if they were in compliant or then, maybe not now, but they were when it happened and they hadn't made any changes, they still may be able to keep that short-term rental.
I will say that a determination of a nonconformity is very fact-specific, but based off what you're saying, I think it would be safe to say yes, with the understanding that at the time the use was established, it was in compliance with the zoning ordinance in effect at the time the use was established, and no changes have been made that would bring it out of compliance with any zoning ordinance since.
Anything else?
Mayor, I thought the discussion from the Committee of the Whole was really good today, which was the intent of that meeting, so I'm glad we had that opportunity to hear a lot of points of view. For me, the things that struck me are we don't want to hurt folks, whether it's the city, STR owners, or visitors, by not being able to process things in a timely fashion that have been submitted on time. That's a view. That's my view. Taking this action will give us some time to bring in new applications and new licenses that will be spread out versus all at one time. And I think from a workload standpoint, that's critical going forward. And then this still assures that we get everybody onto the new ordinance and the new licensing program. It just does it at a pace that we can manage. So those were my takeaways from the COW earlier today. So thank you.
Okay. Could you read the motion again, Megan, please?
I was just waiting in case anybody else, because my
Councilmember
first one was
Hasley.
a point of order. Thank you. in addition to the cow, I do believe it would be helpful for staff to clarify for the property managers, especially in light of the comment tonight, why materials being directed directly to the short-term rental owners. It seems like that might be a bottleneck to efficiency, leading to the necessity of this, and that might facilitate things, and that is the way it had previously been done. Also, this really doesn't get into the nuts and bolts that Councilman Capps was talking to. It's simply a process to allow more time to go through the process as it was originally adopted. It does extend it for up to 2 years, but as discussed at the cow, that was 2 years was taken because it's a 2-year license, and that it's hoped that as the licensee, the process under the new ordinance for each of the pending applications progresses to completion under the new process, the conditional license would then be changed to the permanent license under the ordinance at a prorated fee to make everyone whole and do the intent of the process while not rushing the process. So I heard concerns that why is it 2 years? It's not an absolute with it being a conditional license, and I hope that that calms some people's concerns with potential delay, and they will continue to expeditiously process the pending applications to completion, and then that would start decreasing the number of conditional licenses. And the other thing is just transparency. Everyone does want to be able to know and understand why something is or is not being granted, and we look forward to clear, objective records with regard to the zoning compliance determination.
Megan, can you read the motion, please?
Absolutely. It's to introduce an ordinance to amend sections 14-501, 14-502, and 14-505 of Chapter 14 of the Code of Ordinances for the City of South Haven.
All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business. Number 11, the City Council will be asked to consider approval of an amendment of Article 6 of Chapter 22 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of South Haven Code of Ordinances. Kate.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an amendment of an ordinance so that we can do payment in lieu of tax agreements by resolution. As we know, we're working with Dwelling Place of Grand Rapids to develop an apartment building over in the Overton area using MSHA funds. That is going to be a requirement that MSHA would like to see, that the city is working with the developer and would be doing a payment in lieu of tax arrangement. Because of the ease of our previous ordinance would spell all this out in an ordinance that makes it a little hard to wield it. So that's why with Attorney Eberle's suggestion, we're going to, if council approves this amendment tonight, then we would draft a resolution with a pilot agreement attached.
I just want to emphasize that this ordinance enacts a procedure by which the city will handle all payment in lieu of taxes. It's not specific to dwelling place. That was the catalyst for the amendment, but dwelling places pilot specifically will be addressed, as Kate mentioned, through a pilot agreement that will come before this body, hopefully on the 16th, and be scheduled for a public hearing pursuant to the language of this ordinance.
Is there a motion to approve the amendment?
I move to approve the amendment of Article 6.
Second.
Discussion? Any discussion? Okay. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Moving on. The city council will be asked to take the following actions regarding the amendment of the Trailside Everett Park PUD for the properties commonly known as 900 and 1070 Indiana Avenue. And we have a need for a public hearing.
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Support.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? This is a time for a public hearing for you to speak about the Trailside Everett Park PUD.
That's your cue.
Thank
Welcome
you.
back.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
My name is Serge Bocassini, and I live at 125 Elkenberg Street, Unit 3. Currently the president of the Homeowners Association there, and I'm representing our interests in the development. First, I want to thank all of you. I know how difficult public service is. I have 4 sons, 3 of whom are Chicago police and firemen. So I know it's difficult. I know you're not fighting fires or searching for criminals, but I know how much time this takes, and I want to thank all of you for that. I love South Haven. We moved here, we purchased in 2020. We moved here permanently in April of this year. The reason that I'm here tonight is that I'm hoping that you all received and read the email from Lisa Veek, who is a neighbor of mine. I followed up with that email saying that I was hoping I'd be able to come this evening and express my concerns to the council, specifically Eddie and Letitia, who are representing our ward, Ward 1. This discussion happens at all of our board meetings and at many events that I attend in the city. Trailside and Overton, the Overton property, are directly outside of my windows. I have 12 windows that face Overton and the Trailside building. And I'm absolutely thrilled with the direction that we're taking on Overton. I think it's wonderful. I think the discussions that we're having with the community and the direction that we're taking there is great. I am, however, concerned about Overton. The reason that I'm concerned about Overton is since the building has begun, there has been nothing but water, dust, dirt flowing through the streets. And I'm concerned that even though I'm told by Eagle that they're following their due care plan, I cannot believe that because I see hundreds, literally hundreds of people working that site, digging that site, moving through the dirt, and
You
I'm
have
concerned.
1 minute.
I'm concerned that we're not following a due care plan. I'm concerned that we're not doing things in an appropriate and controlled manner. It doesn't look that way to me. It doesn't look that way to the residents in our building. And I'm expressing to you that we need to do a bit more oversight and transparency. I don't know who's responsible for that, whether it's the city or Eagle. Honestly, I don't care whose responsibility it is. I just want something done. We just want something done. We just want transparency to prove to us, to prove to the residents that the site is being appropriately managed from a controlled and pollution perspective. Thank you.
And you mentioned Overton, but I think you meant Trailside.
I do mean Trailside, but I face Overton.
Okay.
And I'm thrilled with what the direction we're taking with Overton, and I believe that team is doing what it's supposed to do.
Thank you. Your time's up.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? The public hearing is closed. Moving on to B. Consider approval of Resolution 2026-08, a resolution approving the planned unit development amendment for the properties commonly known as 900 Indiana Avenue and 1070 Indiana Avenue. Kate.
Thank you, Mayor. This has been modified slightly since our last visit. So we have a resolution that is being proposed, and this would, of course, work with New Everett Park Phase 2, which would be consisting of 24 two-family condominium units and 12 buildings. The resolution did add a provision that would require the developer to work with the city staff to develop to craft a development agreement. That was something that that staff and the city attorney's office worked on after our comments at our last meeting. This would allow city staff to work with the developer to address concerns that have been brought up by Member Hosley, as well as what we just heard. So We have done development agreements before with this group, and we've done them with other developers. Kelly or Dave?
Yeah. I'll make one housekeeping note. On the resolution that you have in front of you, there's a blank on J. That date should be February 8th, 2026. In terms of what Kate was speaking about in terms of regarding the development agreement, members of the body have expressed concerns regarding certain aspects of the construction and desire that there be some mechanism by which the city could impose conditions. It's my understanding that the city was going to require a development agreement regardless or irregardless of those concerns to address some other issues, not issues, but other factors that the city needed a development agreement for. To the extent the council wants to address things like runoff or the tarping of dirt piles or things like that, I think those are most appropriate to be addressed in a development agreement. I don't believe that those are appropriate to put in either the ordinance or the resolution. The resolution obviously requires a development agreement. So my recommendation would be that if council is inclined to move forward with these two items, that it adopt the resolution, adopt the ordinance, and then if it wishes to have discussion and give staff guidance in terms of what it would like to see in a development agreement, I think those discussions would be appropriate, most appropriate at that time.
Okay, is there a motion?
I would move to approve Resolution 2026-08, a resolution approving the planning unit development amendment for the properties commonly known as 900 Indiana Avenue and 1070 Indiana Avenue.
Support.
Any discussion? Mrs. Hadley. Councilmember Hasley.
I would move to amend 1G, which is on page 61 of 241, at the very end, insert and are complied with throughout all aspects of construction. 1G is all required permits and approvals from all applicable permitting authorities are granted before construction may commence. I think in light of the comments, it would be helpful, the addition of "and are complied with throughout all aspects of construction" would be applicable.
Is there a second for that amendment? The amendment dies for lack of support. Okay, any other discussion? Councilmember Hasley.
Would someone on staff please explain what you anticipate for applicants' obligations, or that is what we would be giving guidance on?
I'll defer to Kelly in terms of what staff is concerned with regarding the development agreement initially, but that would be an item that if council decided to provide some direction in terms of things they would like to see in a development, that's what those obligations would be addressed. Again, remember, this is something that we need to hammer out with the applicant. Obviously, council has a lot of leverage in this situation, but when you are considering in the imposition of conditions and as a term of the development agreement, if we have that conversation later, one of the things staff will be exploring is some of the practicability and feasibility and enforceability of those conditions.
Any other discussion? Mr. Capps.
Yeah, I would say, and so the public knows, we do want this thing to be safe as well as when the Overton comes in there. So that's certainly, Mary Hasley has said some things about the safety and the gentleman today. So do know that we take that seriously, and we just hope that when we come up with the procedure, not through here, is that there's a way to enforce it. I'm sure that all council members would say, hey, we can go ahead and say this is a condition of the work, but if they don't comply, what's the results? If we say there's got to be a tarp on it, or we want the water inspected that the guy thinks may be contaminated maybe or doesn't know, is there any way to really enforce that?
Well, in any development, any conditions should be items that city staff do have authority to enforce and are responsible for. And some environmental items would fall outside of our jurisdiction. So there are some things that city staff can enforce in terms of runoff and sedimentation, but then there would be other items that
are due care items that city staff would not be responsible for enforcing.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Could we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Capps?
Yes.
Flack?
Yes.
Hasley?
No.
Polk?
Yes.
Wilkins?
Yes.
Arnold?
Yes.
And Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to C, consider approval of an ordinance to amend the planned unit development for the properties commonly known as 900 Indiana Avenue and 1070 Indiana Avenue, and to incorporate approval of the amended planned unit development preliminary plan. Kate.
Thank you, Mayor. As we've changed our planning, our zoning document, this requires us to update our ordinance with a planned unit development now becomes something else. Kelly, can you explain that?
Are you asking for, I'm sorry, Kate, I was looking at the agenda and you're asking about the rezoning, the PUD rezoning process?
Yes.
Yes, so formerly, I think we talked a little bit about this at our last meeting, and planned unit developments prior to this ordinance were handled as special land uses. They are now rezonings, and therefore they do require an ordinance to adopt the PUD and to rezone the property actually as PUD. Is that the answer that you're looking for?
Yes, thank you.
And one housekeeping matter, the brackets and the language in the brackets that say "and last revised on month, date, year" should be stricken for the purpose of any motion, and the resolution number, as was just adopted, is 2026-08.
Thank you.
So any motion, I would assume, would include those changes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Move to approve ordinance to amend the planning unit development for the properties commonly known as 900 Indiana Avenue and 1070 Indiana Avenue, and to incorporate approval of the amended planned unit development preliminary plan with the notes offered by Attorney Everly.
Support.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Next, the city council will be asked to take the following actions regarding the rezoning of the properties.
Point of order.
Did someone say something?
Point of order. Were we going to discuss the development agreement, what council wanted before we went to the next item, I thought?
Yeah, I think if there's a desire for council to discuss that, now would be the appropriate time based off the context of the situation, or the conversation council just had. However, I would, in accordance with our new rules of procedure, I would ask that, or recommend that any recommendation be made in the form of a motion, which could then be seconded and debated in accordance with our rules of procedure.
I would move the city council to discuss what conditions they may consider requesting staff for the development agreement under 1H of the resolution just passed.
Support.
Any discussion?
Was that okay?
I'm sorry, I wasn't very clear. I think it's fair at this point to have the discussion. I think a recommendation, as an example, could be move to recommend that staff address silt runoff in the development agreement or something like that. And again, these can be broad recommendations. This is simply just council giving guidance to staff in terms of things they would like to see.
Would you like to restate that?
But I think what we'll have to do is do an amended motion, because until we have the discussion, we won't know what to direct staff to do. So that we can have a complete list of items that we would just add at the end to amend it.
Why don't you reread your motion?
So off the top of my head, I believe I moved that city council consider the obligations under the development agreement of 1H of the resolution just passed.
Okay, and that was seconded. What, Megan has it? Okay, any discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? The motion passes. Moving on, number
Well,
13.
No,
So we need,
so I,
Now we need to give some direction to the
Yeah.
staff.
Oh,
yeah.
What would we like to see in this development agreement?
yes, I don't think we really wanted to vote yet.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
So what I have,
May I?
please.
I think there's two ways to handle this. One is if a member has an item they would like to propose that staff consider in the development agreement, they can make a motion that staff seek to address that in the development agreement. Motion can be made, seconded, voted on, and if it passes, that's guidance that staff will take into consideration. Another way to do this could be recognizing the uniqueness of the situation to, for the purpose of this discussion only, waive the rule regarding the requirement that a motion be made prior to debate, and that would take a 2/3 vote of the body.
But, so the motion to discuss, and then can we not amend the motion at the end before we take the vote on the specific items to direct?
Okay, so the goal is to have some general discussion?
Right.
Okay, all right, I understand.
And then at the end, we can make the motion on the items.
You could,
I would keep it broad.
if there's unanimous consent for that approach, then I think it's fair to proceed with that approach. And there appears to be unanimous consent for that approach.
I think they're similar, but I think they're going to get us to the same place, so.
Go ahead, Councilmember
So,
Hosley.
Just the two items that have been brought to our attention, and I know Eagle was out on Friday, is the covering of piles of dirt. And it's not just potentially contaminated dirt, it's piles of dirt. I've heard from residents about piles of sand that are standing there for several weeks. With the wind that we get can pummel their homes, and it hits people, and especially with this right adjacent to the Van Buren County Trail. So I would include in the list covering of piles of dirt not in use, regardless of whether contaminated or not. And also the other item is maintenance of silt fences as required by permitting. And stormwater runoff, maintaining proper handling of stormwater runoff.
Okay,
So if I may, just to try and package this for the body, I think it would be helpful with if Member Hosley, if I'm understanding correctly, is the motion, maybe we can break these into three separate motions so we can have separate debate on each one. But motion one, if I'm understanding, would be to direct staff to address the covering of piles of dirt regardless of contamination. Would that be an appropriate way to phrase it?
Yes.
Okay. I would suggest then, if that is the desire, that a motion be made on that direction to staff, second debate discussion, and then we can move to the other two items listed.
So I move for the covering of piles of dirt as discussed by Attorney Eberly.
is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Mr. Katz.
Although I appreciate it, and we would certainly like the contaminated stuff covered or dealt with, and the question I would have, does this open it up to any construction site in the city has to cover their dirt? I mean, if you got a job at a hospital and you've got a big company moving a lot of dirt and they got all kinds of sand, and they're going to say, hey, you made them do it there, do they have to do it? I would worry about the ramifications of that pretty soon the whole city would have to have everything covered, which would be kind of ridiculous.
responding?
Yeah, I think that's a great question that you're asking, Councilmember Capps. I think that right now we don't require every construction site to cover all of their dirt. I think enforcement is definitely an issue, but for trail sides specifically, that's a question for the council, and you do have the ability to place a condition in the development agreement for this site. So I think ultimately that's your decision.
Just a second, Mr. Polk.
Yes. Just for clarification, ultimately, what is supposed to happen with this dirt?
Well, I think that my understanding of the due care plan, and the developer is here tonight, and so he's probably more better person to ask than me, but my understanding is that contaminated soil is required to be covered, and uncontaminated piles are not required to be covered. But staff has no way to know which pile is which. So if staff is being asked to enforce piles of dirt being covered, we would prefer something a little more objective. We probably at that point would need to require all dirt be covered.
And if we're uncertain, we would err to the conservative and say it's contaminated, right?
Well,
If we're not positive?
not necessarily. The depth of the soil matters. I'm not an environmental expert. I don't want to pretend to be. So, if council's going to require dirt be covered, then I think all the dirt would have to be covered in order for staff to enforce it.
I agree.
Mr. Flack?
Eddie hit on my point already, but I don't know construction, so I don't know what's reasonable in this case, because there is a balance between actually developing the parcel and finishing the work and making sure that we don't, send contaminated particles into the air. So it's difficult, I guess, to say, isn't it reasonable? And Kelly, maybe I'll point this question to you. Is it reasonable in this case to suggest that we should be covering all piles of dirt? Is that feasible, or is that, do we know?
I think it might help to speak with the developer about the due care plan, if I can suggest that, because he's more familiar with the due care obligation and what dirt's required to be covered and what dirt is not required to be covered.
I think that's a good
Can
idea.
you approach the microphone?
Yeah, hi, I'm Matt O'Connor on the property, and good to see you guys again. So yes, we're following the due care plan. Triterra is our environmental consultant. Anything that is contaminated, it's covered. Anything that's not, I'll just be transparent. It's a construction site. It's not going to be. It's just not going to happen like that. So, but we are following our due care plan, and we just want to bring housing to the community. So, we're in full compliance with our due care plan. Eagle's been down here, so I want to be responsible. We wouldn't want to build something that's unsafe. So I'm an open book. You guys have my cell phone. Call me, whatever. Go ahead, sir, please.
May I?
Mr. Polk?
Yeah. Well, then my challenge would be, what can we do to reassure our residents that this is safe? They should have no concern about contaminated soil.
I can have our environmental consultant that we pay thousands of dollars to give you data, give the reports. We've shared the due care with the city. It's public. You can FOIA it. It's public knowledge. It's just, it is going to be a construction site. I can't. Yeah, it's going to be a construction site, so there's going to be dirt. So, but I'm happy to share if anybody wants, I can give anybody here my cell phone number. They can call me, and I'm happy to send them all the data I have. So, you're welcome to have it. I'll give it to you when we.
And thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Capps?
Yeah, just a question. I think some of the concern was the huge pile that's there that has had a tarp over it. Was it covered just so that dirt didn't blow around, or is that dirt in fact contaminated? And since the last council meeting, and it was expressed by Councilman Hosley about it being tarped, did you tarp it because it was, or you just tarped it? And if you tarped it because it was, it's been untarped for quite some time, and that would be concern of the citizens, that if you tarped it for a reason, you've had a couple weeks, it should be tarped again, I would guess.
And I would probably defer to Mark Compton on that. It's most likely weather. Again, it's an active construction site, so it's going to be tarped sometime, I think, out of just from weather and from his construction management standpoint. He wasn't tarping it for a environmental reason. He was probably tarping it for I don't want stuff blowing everywhere reason. And so, but again, I mean, it's, if it is contaminated dirt, our environmental consultant can speak to that. But again, an ongoing construction site, when we've got 10 to 20 construction guys there every day, it's, I mean, you guys know how construction works. I mean, it's bodies in and out. So there.
Oh, Councilmember Hasley.
So I know Rachel Galata was there on Friday per her email that I've shared with the city council members, and she did say the silt fencing needs to be repaired, which I think is part of the due care plan. And the most concerning part is she could not say whether the partially covered soil was contaminated or not. But as a resident had pointed out, it seems like it would be contaminated because it was covered. You've represented tonight that you can't tell us whether it's contaminated.
That's not what I represented.
Okay, but that you were not sure why it was covered, is what your developer.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I just said.
And so that is where the trust, I think, is eroding, because when piles are covered and only contaminated soil has to be covered, there's a reasonable presumption that it's contaminated. And then when it becomes uncovered, there's a reasonable concern that contaminated soil is no longer covered. So what really needs to happen is a way to ensure that we know which piles are contaminated or which have contaminated soil and which do not, because to the best of my understanding, contaminated soil that's been excavated can stay on site as long as it's properly covered, unless in use, to be used for backfill. And then the other layers put on top. So the whole goal for me, from what I'm hearing from constituents, is that the development plan would identify an efficient way for the city staff to know what is and is not contaminated. And also Eagle, I'm still waiting to hear back from Rachel how she's going to identify whether it is or is not contaminated.
Councilmember Flack.
Go ahead. Can I respond to that?
Oh, yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Councilwoman Hasley. So what I indicated was, just a point of clarity, what I indicated was this is an ongoing construction site, and sometimes it will be covered, sometimes it won't. We all live on the west coast of Michigan, so we know what the wind is. So whether it's covered or it's not, that's no reason why, the assumption of why it would be contaminated. So again, this is why we have an environmental consultant, but just to, what you just asserted is not accurate of what my representations were. So I take issue with your representation of what you've just inferred there.
Councilmember Flack.
Matt, I would like your cell number too. But
You're welcome to have it.
hey, thank you for helping us
easier to do it
with
that way.
answers. My question is, where we land here, it's difficult to drill all the way down because there's a whole process here. Is that there's an occurrence factor where it's very intermittent. We can't police this thing all the time. Residents may have issues at times, they may not. There are 3 issues that were brought forward in an email this week that Mary referenced. And my question is, could part of what we're going to build together be a process that allows us to get with you quickly and get answers quickly back to constituents through Kate or somebody else? Would that make sense as a proposal going into this agreement that we're going to build? Such that, if people in the audience who live near the parcel see something, we're guaranteed within, a couple of days, Serge is going to get an answer on what he saw with the water or with a pile that was covered that's now not covered. Is that have feasibility in terms of what we should suggest here?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of went through that on the first phase. And again, Mark Compton's our our local excavator, his office is half a mile away. So, I mean, we're, within reason, we're open to following the due care plan. And again, within reason, we're willing to follow the due care plan. We just want to build housing, and we kind of want a little bit of freedom to operate to just run our construction site. But when we have people cutting down our no trespassing signs, so then we got to have Eagle come out, and when we have people ripping off our tarp, and then they're saying, hey, the wind blew it off. I mean, those are not helpful for us to bring housing here. So all I'm saying is we're investing hundreds or more than that. Our family's investing millions of dollars in this right now, and I just want to bring housing to the community. And so that's all I'm saying is that when we're getting all this, and again, I'm not saying it's anybody up here, I'm not saying it's anybody in this room, but when signs are getting cut down and tarps are getting ripped off by people trespassing on our property, I have to file a police report for people trespassing on my property, when all I'm trying to do is run my construction site in a safe way. That's where, and I apologize, sir, and I please don't take that as any disrespect. I'm just frustrated with the processes. Like, we're trying to bring more housing, and I've got 14 acres behind that I own that I'm paying property taxes on every year, and I'm trying to bring more housing to South Haven.
Oh, excuse
Sorry.
me.
Yeah, this is not public comment.
Okay,
I feel like
It's
this
not
is
public
going a little
comment.
sideways, Mayor. I think
please.
Hold your comments.
Okay.
I would say, I appreciate the comments by Mr. O'Connor, but I believe we do have a motion on the floor about covering any dirt piles on the site.
Megan, can you read the motion?
Yes.
Absolutely. Moved by Hosley, seconded by Flack to add to the development agreement for the covering of piles of dirt regardless of contamination as discussed.
And let's have a roll call.
You got it. Flack,
Yes.
Hosley,
Yes.
Polk,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
No.
Capps,
No.
and Brown.
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to the next.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And I will just, to clarify, to make sure staff, I want to make sure staff is understanding the direction. These motions are directing staff to try to address these issues in a development agreement, understanding that staff may come back and say, hey, we're trying to get at what you're getting at. We had some tweaks here. This is what we're recommending. Correct. Okay.
Agree.
My understanding is that the next issue was directing staff to address issues concerning silt fences.
Yes, that's one item that Rachel identified was in disrepair.
Is there a motion?
I move to direct staff to work towards a resolution in a development agreement with promptly fixing silt fencing.
Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of support.
And then the third one was I moved to direct staff to find a reasonable process for proper stormwater runoff control on the site.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion.
Yes. Let's
Any-
define reasonable.
Mr. Polk.
Let's define reasonable.
That would be towards the attorney.
I believe I'm taking the motion as saying, hey, staff, we have a concern regarding stormwater runoff. Can you draft some language in the development agreement that would address this concern? So I'm interpreting the motion as a broad direction to address this issue in obviously the most practical way we can.
Any other discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
Hosley,
Yes.
Polk,
Yes.
Wilkins,
Yes.
Arnold,
Yes.
Capps,
Yes.
Flack,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Is that it?
Yeah.
We're moving on to number 13. The city council will be asked to take the following actions regarding the rezoning of properties commonly known as 706 and 712 Virginia Avenue to PUD, and to incorporate approval of the PUD preliminary plan. And first, we need to hold a public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Support.
All in favor say yes.
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 Opposed? The public hearing is now open.
Hello again. My name's Holly Boyd. I reside at 507 Virginia, and I'm here representing the HOA for North Haven Village, which is directly behind the property in question for 706 and 713 Virginia. The reason I'm here again to speak is we are not fighting the PUD at all. That's not a concern. We understand they'd like to build 6 luxury housing items behind us. And our concern is there is a runoff. And we have had to deal with the hill and the runoff due to the natural springs on the property that they're building on for many years at our pool, our reservoir that we also have, as well as our hot tub. And for many years, we've had to do repairs because of the runoff. And to have the easement that they're stating that they have, which we have also hired a lawyer to look into a title search for us to see if that is true. Our concern is that this path that they say that they need to build for the emergency vehicles, which are extremely heavy, will not support it. And I don't want to have a situation that just occurred previously with the gentleman, that we have to go in and correct things. I want to make sure that the city pays attention to the development of Edgewater, and that there is enough building support to support these heavy vehicles that they want for emergency uses only. So make sure that they build things properly, everything is done correctly. They do soil samples, they make sure that this hill can support these emergency vehicles for emergency use only. So that is our biggest concern, and again, we have taken under advisement a lawyer to make sure that the easement is actually there, which we do not agree with, but in case we lose that, we just want to make sure that the city pays attention to what's transpiring in regards to what they do build, those 6 luxury homes, and if they have to make a change to their descriptions and their building, we understand that, so. Thank you for the time, guys. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? The public hearing is closed. Moving on to B, consider approval of resolution 2026-09, a resolution approving the planned unit development preliminary plan and planned unit development rezoning for the properties commonly known as 706 and 712 Virginia Avenue. Kate.
Thank you, Mayor. Once again, we're coming back here for this resolution. Again, this is a preliminary site plan. Should anything have to change on that site, we would have to amend that site plan, and that would be something that would be done with the Planning Commission, I believe. Correct, Kelly? Yes. All right. And then, as we know, this is about a 6-unit house on the north side. I'm sorry, six separate lots. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I motion to approve Resolution 2026-09, a resolution approving the planned unit development preliminary plan and planned unit development rezoning for the properties commonly known as 706 and 712 Virginia Avenue.
Support.
Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion? Councilmember Hosley.
Thank you. Just for clarification, so we do have, just as pointed out, we have just the preliminary site plan, Kelly, and the final site plan will have to come back for approval through the Planning Commission, and that is when the concerns that have been raised would be addressed, because the developer would have to show that egress or emergency egress is sufficient, because they would have to have Shay's approval, engineer's approval, all those approvals, which would address the concerns raised, should be vetted through that process.
Yes, that's correct. The site plan, final site plan is the time that engineering is more involved, and we're looking at cross-sections of things and.
And weight bearing
Correct,
of the emergency vehicles.
yes.
Any other discussion? Mr. Capps?
Yeah, did I hear correctly when we had this before that the owner of that site talked about that particular area for the egress, that they weren't going to build a road there, they were going to use some type of extra heavy artificial turf was going in there. Is that correct?
That's what we've been told, and we do have Spencer here from Edgewater that he can answer some questions tonight if you've got those questions. So yes, my understanding is they are planning some sort of reinforcement for emergency vehicles, but not necessarily a paved street.
They're cells that are connected to each other, and they're formed into the road on the right of way, and then they're filled with soil, and they can be planted on top of with turf or sod. So it's not artificial turf. It's a planted living turf that you would mow and everything. Just underneath, like that top layer of turf soil, are these cells that are about like this tall or so, and they're all connected to each other, and they provide a more stable surface, but is not super visible or intrusive.
And how would, in fact, if the artesian wells are in there, does that affect that process? Would you have to change it? I know that's really not up to us, probably. It's more the engineers, but just a question so we know.
Possibly, yeah. We would have to do, like Kelly said, when we get to the final site plan approval, we will be doing more than just preliminary engineering, and we will have geotechnical borings that will tell us exactly what would need to go in order to create a stable surface for emergency vehicles.
So, quick question. So the aesthetic of that, is it going to look like just natural grass? It won't look
Yes.
like an easement that's a parking lot? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilmember Hosley?
Just, and I think we talked afterwards, so that if that area ends up not being feasible, engineer doesn't sign off on it or whatever, the land is sufficiently large where you do have alternative ways to provide the turnaround. That's why that's there, the turnaround for shays and emergencies. So it's not a deal breaker, but that was their more preferred design.
Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you. Any other discussion? Kate, do you have comments before we vote?
No, I think we've covered it.
Okay. Can we have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Polk,
Yes.
Wilkins,
No.
Arnold,
Yes.
Capps,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Hosley,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to item C, consider approval of an ordinance to amend the City of South Haven zoning map as adopted by Article 3 of the zoning ordinance for the City of South Haven by rezoning the properties commonly known as 706 Virginia Avenue and 712 Virginia Avenue to PUD Planned Unit Development, and to incorporate approval of the Planned Unit Development Preliminary Plan. Kate?
Thank you, Mayor. Just as we did with Trailside, rezoning is, for PUDs, we are now rezoning. So that's all that is.
Okay. Mr.
And the
Epperly?
resolution referenced in section 3 of the ordinance should read Resolution 2026-09.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve an ordinance to amend the City of South Haven zoning map as adopted by Article 3 of the zoning ordinances for the City of South Haven by rezoning the properties commonly known as 706 Virginia Ave and 712 Virginia Ave to PUD Planned Unit Development and to incorporate approval of the Planned Unit Development Preliminary Plan.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Okay. Kate, do you have any comments?
No, thank you.
Mr. Eberly? Roll call, please.
You got it. Wilkins,
No.
Arnold,
Yes.
Capps,
Yes.
Flack,
Yes.
Hasley,
Yes.
Polk,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Kate, is there anything that staff needs regarding this?
No.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to new business. The city council will be asked to consider approval of the following special event applications. A, special event application 2026-06, Juneteenth celebration to be held in Elkenberg Park on Saturday, June 20th, 2026, from 2 to 9 p.m. And B, special event application 2026-07, South Haven Festival of Cars, Cruisin' for Kylie, to be held on Phoenix, Center, Eagle, and Water Streets on Saturday, June 6, 2026, from 5:30 a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m.
I move to approve special event application 2026-06 as read by the mayor, and special event application 2026-07 as read by the mayor.
Support.
Any discussion?
I think this is the 25th anniversary of the Festival of Cars.
Yes, it is. And because we are doing our work over in Huron Street, we've been working with Mr. Gruber to have it returned back to the streets.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say one thing about the Elkenberg Park and Juneteenth, as we know, we've adopted the fireworks ordinance. So just for clarity, Juneteenth happens to be on a Friday this year, and that would be the day that people could let off fireworks,
Thank you.
but not in the park.
Not in the park.
And
Okay.
not at short-term rentals.
That's right.
Okay, all in favor say yes?
Yes.
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 Opposed? The events are approved. Thank you. Moving on to number 15. Council will be asked to consider approval of the creation of a new part-time assessor position. Kate?
Thank you, Mayor. Michelle Argue is not only our finance director and our treasurer, but she's also a level 3 assessor, which is great for us. But that does mean that her deputy, Jen Windley, is doing quite a bit of work. It takes us every bit of the year just to get through the building permits, and we're not able to go out and do as much of our assessing work as we can. The assessing department does have the funds for this. We will be divorcing this off of the DDA director, who will be staying in her position, in a very part-time position. But this would allow us to find someone who has also similar certifications. I'll let Michelle kind of talk about some of this, but the assessing databases are very restricted as to people who are certified to work on them. This is a state law. These are state regulations that we're working with. Michelle?
Yes, we did try to bring in a person that was not certified to help out part-time, with the DDA director wanting to go part-time. So we were able to try to do that. It's just she's very limited on what she can enter into the system. So data entry, all decisions and that have to be made by certified personnel. So that leaves it on the deputy assessors mostly day-to-day. And it's just not allowing us to get out and do as much work as we would like to do, like out in the field and that, because of the number of sales and building permits and everything like that that goes on throughout the year. We need a little bit more help. So, and the DDA director also wanted to have less hours and just do the DDA. So, I mean, work out well to be able to do that.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the creation of a new part-time assessor position?
Yes. I move that that the council approve the creation of a new, part-time assessor position.
Support.
Support?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Any discussion? Councilmember Hasley?
Just for clarity, so it's a new position, but it's not additional money. It's money that had been spent already, but what's the end result on the budget?
The DDA director will be working less hours, but she'll only be charged to the DDA. Right now, she's charged between assessing and DDA. So yes, there will be some charging and we're not sure exactly on what we'll have to pay the new part-time person, but they'll be charged fully to the assessing department.
So if the pay stayed the same, it would be a wash. But with the qualifications, we expect to have somewhat higher, but it's not like a brand-new position.
No, it's not a brand-new position.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say yes?
Yes. Yes.
Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Number 16, the city council will be asked to introduce an ordinance to amend section 62-27 of the Code of Ordinances for the city of South Haven. Kate.
Thank you, Mayor. This was brought up in January of this year. There is a provision in our zoning ordinance, our Code of Ordinances, that's a carryover of a previous version of a Michigan Planning Act that prohibited planning commissioners from holding other office. We already know that's not been working out, since we have at least one planning commissioner who's on two boards. He's on the Construction Board of Appeals as well as the Planning Commission. This was, so staff has come up with this model, this ordinance to amend, to strike that language that prevents planning commissioners from sitting on any other boards. As we know, we do have people who do sit on multiple boards. We do have the LDFA, and Brownfield is the same board. We also have a number of people who are also on DDA and ZBA, things like that.
Mr. Eberly.
I'll just highlight Kate's comments regarding this language being a carryover from a prior statute. This language is a carryover from the Municipal Planning Act, which was one of the precursor statutes to the Planning Enabling Act. So in that sense, this really is an issue of first impression for this council, in that when the ordinance was adopted back in the day, that was the law of the state of Michigan. So this council has the opportunity now, for some of the reasons Kate stated, to remove this provision. When the legislature repealed the Municipal Planning Act and enacted the Planning Enabling Act, this requirement was not carried over.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I would move to introduce an ordinance to amend section 62-27 of the Code of Ordinances for the city of South Haven.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any discussion? Mr. Arnold.
I did see one email that someone was opposed to this ordinance, but the email went on to people that were being considered for planning commission. This isn't about who's going on the planning commission, and if you have issue with who the mayor chooses, you can take it up at that time. This is simply to correct a problem that we have things like the Construction Board of Appeals that require some special knowledge, and so does Planning Commission, and we currently have one person that is on both, and he's doing that illegally unless we fix this. So for me, this is really kind of an open and shut case, that we want to keep that knowledge on our boards, and this fixes that problem. And like I said, if you have an issue with the selection process, that's a separate issue that we can take up at that time.
Any other discussion? Councilmember Hosley.
Yes, my concern is, and what I've heard from people, is that this will allow a planning commissioner to sit on other boards, and we already have, as we've said, people sitting on numerous boards. And at a time when we're trying to engage the community, this is counterproductive, not consistent with that. I appreciate the technicality aspect and having some people with limited expertise as we need. And for the Construction Board of Appeals, I could see allowing a planning commissioner to sit both on the Planning Commission and the Construction Board of Appeals, just as we allow a planning commissioner to sit on the ZBA. That would be a much finer amendment that would address the specific need that we have. And also in that situation, the Construction Board of Appeals, I believe, has not even met for a year to maybe 3 even. So it's not a board where they routinely meet. A ZBA is similar. They do not meet every single month. And so I would support an amendment that would address the specific need, which is the need to have the technical expertise on the Construction Zoning Board of Appeals, but not removing the limitation to minimize the number of boards that a planning commission can sit on, to just encourage more people to apply to the other boards.
Mr. Eberly, do you have comments on letting some people serve in two but not on others? What Councilmember Hosley just spoke about?
I think it's well within the authority of this body to carve out such a specific exemption if a member was inclined to so make an amendment. I think obviously the question from staff's perspective is, are there other boards that would, for which there would be a desire to carve out an exemption?
And you said other cities in Michigan are changing this too.
I am sure that in some cities in Michigan, they have this language in their zoning ordinance for a variety of reasons. Some they haven't had the need to change it. Their ordinance could be very outdated. Two, they had the opportunity, just as this body has, and they decided that for whatever reason they want to keep it. I will say, on balance, I have not seen this language, and I cannot think of a specific municipality that I've come across that has retained this language. Again, I'm sure if you looked, you could find somebody, but I think, again, this is an issue of first impression for this council, and the council can decide whether or not it wants to keep it, delete it, or keep it with specific carve-outs.
And I know that Michigan Municipal League is advising cities to update the old ordinance, and this would benefit our community. Okay, we have a motion discussion. Could we have a roll call, please?
Of course. Arnold?
Yes.
Capps?
Yes.
Flack?
No.
Hosley?
No.
Polk?
Yes.
Wilkins?
No.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on, we are now at the city manager's comments.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll keep my comments brief. We did hold our job fair this weekend, and last year we had 37 candidates that came through the door, but this year we have 53, so that was very good news. I know that we did have a number of people who came in for parking enforcement, beach enforcement, lifeguards, as well as bridge tenders and park staff. So very good turnout, and hopefully we get some good staff members out of that. Those are my comments. Mr. Everly, do you have any comments?
No, thank you, Kate.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Kate? Councilmember Hosley.
Just quickly, you had mentioned at the cow, so March 16th, we'll be having a cow on budget priorities and lifeguards, correct?
That's
Starting at 5:30 here?
Correct.
And it will not be taped.
That's correct.
Any other questions for Kate? Okay, moving on to mayor and council person's comments. Councilmember Wilkins.
No comment.
Mr. Capps.
I'd like to thank everybody that was both meetings today, and also have prayers and good thoughts for our troops right now.
Thank you, Mr. Flack.
A couple of things. The Ramageddon, our South Haven robotics team is having their reveal at the high school March 11th, 6 p.m. It's open to everybody. So if you want to see their robot this year, you can show up. It's open to the public. It should be a lot of fun. Secondly, Mary and I volunteered on the island sit this past Saturday for We Care, supporting their fundraiser. And I think, Mary, I didn't hear the total number, but I think it was about 3,000 when we left. So a great job by everybody who volunteered, a really, really great event. And last, I want to recognize our high school basketball team for a great run this year. They wound up 13-2. My wife and I went to a handful of games, and very inspirational team, and just a great story to watch this year. So kudos to them.
Thank you. Councilmember Hosley.
Thank you everyone for coming and writing. I want to start off wishing Mrs. Shepherd and her History Club students for good luck for their regionals this coming weekend. I went over and helped them do some touch up on their props. Tomorrow, March 3rd at 1 p.m., the Silver Bag Ladies will be presenting for the Scott Club at the First Congregational Church because of construction at the Scott Club. Should be very good. Hash on March 10th at 7 p.m. at their main building on Hubbard will have Valerie Marvin, Michigan State Capitol Director of Education Historian, and lecturing Saving Michigan's Past Women in Historic Preservation. So looking forward to that. Planning Commission this Friday, this Thursday, the 5th, we're going to be discussing the master plan update from the objections that the city council sent. So thank you, staff, for working on that. And on the 23rd of March is going to be a special meeting with the notice publication error and the special land uses for 224 Elkenberg, 509 Phoenix, and 500 Virginia will be there, and also the rezoning of Victoria Resort at 241 Oak. And one thing I learned, and I think, Annie, you were participating in the Michigan Municipal League training, and so I just throw this out, looking forward to zoning and planning information, talking about CIPs, capital improvement plans, and incorporating costs for infrastructure for new developments with all the new developments we have going on. I'm looking forward to seeing that information.
Thank you. Councilmember Polk.
Yes, I think that I really appreciated having Jeremy, is it, from Lake Michigan College? That was very good information he brought that we can carry back to the community, especially opportunities to get an education and get tuition-free education. That's a big deal. So that was very good add to our agenda. And also I appreciate the fact that our residents have shown to show their presence and come out for not only to voice their concern, but to really get to know your council members and relate to them, communicate with them. So we thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Arnold.
No comments.
Okay. Congratulations to Holly Boyd, who has been appointed to the Harbor Commission tonight. We appreciate your service. And thank you for all the work that went into the job fair. So I know there was a lot of work in advance of that. So thank you. And I have no other comments. If there's no further business, we're adjourned.